What's up? This is my, I think, third week of working. Third week of working? Yeah. At Jimmy John's, I should say. Not ever. Alright, I've worked ever since. Well, I mean, like, it's weird. Alright, I've worked ever since I was like 16, 15. But not nearly as much as other people. Because, like, you know, some people go until, like, they're 18 or whatever before they get a job. And then they get their first job. And they work, like, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm, like, the exact opposite of that situation. Right? I got my first job when I was, like, 15, going on 16. And it was right when I got my, like, it was right when I learned how to get, like, drive. Right? I first learned how to drive, right? It was like, okay, I can't drive, and now I can't drive at all. And then it was like, okay, now I can drive until, like, 9 p.m. And that was it. It was pretty dope when I was 15, because there's this thing in my state where if you get your, like, driving permit the second you turn 15, like the day you turn 15, right? Because when you turn 16, you can just get your license, right? I mean, until you're 18, though, you need to have taken driver's ed, and you need to get your permit first. But once you do both those things, you can just get your license if you're older than 16. And I think if you're 21, you don't even need to take driver's ed. I mean, you might, but I don't think you do. So I got my license day one. I had taken driver's ed. I got my permit the day I turned 15, and then 7 months later, that's what I think it is. It's if you have your permit for 7 months, and it's all good, and you have driver's ed, you can get, like, a temp license that lasts until you're 16. But, like, once you turn 16, you can drive. It's whatever. You know, you just do whatever the fuck you want and drive. But if you're 15, you know, you're technically not allowed to drive. But if you get a temp license, then you're allowed to drive until, like, 9 p.m. or maybe 10 p.m. at night. From, like, 10 in the morning. It's pretty vague. Basically, the way it works is, like, you're allowed to drive from the moment the sun comes up till, like, 10 p.m. And I got that. And the second I got that, my mom starts telling me to get a job. The second I get that, like, I'm 15 and some change, my mom's like, all right, get a job. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll get a job. Because at the time, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll get a job. And I'll make some money, and it'll be awesome. What do I do? Sweep the floor? I got a job at this Asian restaurant in Charleston called Osaka. And it's good. They make good-ass food there. Like, it's probably, like, the highest-end Asian restaurant in Charleston that isn't one of those places you go to that has, like, the chefs with, you know, the giant fucking cooking tables where they do tricks and shit. You know, it's not one of those, but it's the highest quality Asian restaurant that isn't one of those, because my drink. And yeah, that was my first job. It was dope. I was a busboy. I didn't make any tips, though. I got paid like $8 an hour. It was pretty dope. And then I quit because I hated it, because nobody spoke English. So I was just, like, the only white guy that worked there. There were, like, 2 other white peoples and some dude from, like, Singapore, I think. You know, and the 3 of them didn't really speak. I think they were all speaking a dialect of Cantonese. I'm not quite sure. Maybe a dialect of Mandarin. I'm not really quite sure. And, you know, there were, like, 3 people that couldn't really speak it that well. And that was me, the 2 other white people that worked there, and this dude from, I think, like, Singapore. And me and the dude from Singapore like got along pretty well. He was cool. You know, I like talking to him. And then he left because this restaurant was actually a front to get people into the country legally. And then they would move on to wherever they wanted to live after a certain amount of time working there. So, you know, yeah. At least that's my theory, because of how many people came there and they're like, oh yeah, I lived in Asia last week, and then they quit and then moved to a different state in like 2 months. It just seemed kind of obvious. Like, what's going on here? what's going on here, guys? Like, you know. But yeah, I quit that job because all three of those people, the two white dudes and the one Singapore guy, they were gone in like the first month. Like, I took the white guy's job. That was basically why I was there. Like, I had taken the white guy's job because he was moving, and he like trained me, and he was there for like another month, and then he left. And the white girl, the other white person, was his girlfriend. So, you know, they both moved, and the Singapore guy, he left, and it was just me alone with all these people who spoke Mandarin. So I literally spoke to nobody. And at this time, I don't think I had a smartphone yet. I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I remember I got my first smartphone in 2013, which was 6 years ago, for my birthday, and it was an iPhone 5S, and I had that until last year, where I broke it and I got a 6S. And 2013 was 6 years ago. That would have made me, 15. So, yeah, I did have a smartphone at the time. But I didn't have any apps on it. Like, it was basically just a phone at that time. I didn't do anything on it. I don't think I had any apps or anything on it. I think I had Facebook on it, like Facebook Messenger, but that was like it. So I couldn't even look at my phone. I just kind of like, and not to mention I couldn't look at my phone because you know, I'm standing in the middle of a restaurant. I can't look at my phone in the middle of a restaurant. So basically I just I was shit out of luck. You know, I didn't have a phone to look at, anybody to talk to. You know, people were really fucking annoying me, so I quit the job. And then I was unemployed for a while. And then I got another job in like a couple months. Like a couple months later, I got a job as a bagger in Philo, and all I had to do for my job was bag groceries, like restock the ice, sometimes stab some ice with an ice pick one time, that was pretty cool, and collect shopping carts. And they even sent me out to collect shopping carts in the pouring rain, which like I was alright with, because that meant I could drift on shopping carts. I got really good at riding shopping carts. You know, like, you go downhill, and you just finished grocery shopping, and you're still a kid at heart, and your 40-year-old self jumps up on, like, the bottom of the shopping cart, and you go, whee, and you ride down the hill. I would do that, but extreme. Like, and in the rain, I like, drift and shit. And I'd fuck around on shopping carts. It was great. I was terrific at it. And then, I quit that job, because it fucking sucked ass. Like, that job sucked. It sucked, alright? And the reason damn, the tide is really high. The reason it sucked so much, really high tide, the reason it sucked so much is because it was boring as fuck, alright? Because I hate jobs where you have a reactive approach, right? I hate reactive jobs. Well, this is a video game, and then I don't really mind reactive things. But in real life, working a job, a reactive job, and I don't mean like a lawyer or like a police officer who's reactive. I mean like something in like retail that's reactive. You know, like a cashier or a bagger, where until somebody comes to you, you're doing nothing. And I'm doing that right now at Jimmy John's. You know, I'm reactive. I can't do anything until somebody comes up and orders a sandwich. But at the same time, when somebody does order a sandwich, I'm not like, all right, 10 cents. I'm like, all right, okay, and then I go on a fucking car ride. And then I come back. And then by the time I get back, there's like another one to go. And in the meantime, you know, there's a lot of shit to do around the store. So like the reactive part of my job is secondary. You know, like I still have a reactive job. I have to react to people coming into the store, take their orders and shit. But at Bilo, that was it. That was my only duty, was to stand and wait for somebody to come in. I didn't have other things to do, right? There were stockers that had their job where they stocked. You know, there were cashiers where they took orders. You know, there were managers that did manager shit. But then there was me, who literally had nothing else to do. Like, I'm complaining, and then people would be like, oh, what are you complaining for? Because it fucking was boring. It made time go by slowly, right? That's my least favorite part of a job. It's like, no matter where I worked, all these jobs except for one, I always wanted to go home. Like, it doesn't matter how tedious the job is or isn't. I don't want to be there. Like, regardless, I would rather be doing anything else. I would rather be doing literally nothing, sitting at home, than working this job, which, in retrospect, isn't that healthy. But you know, you get my meaning. So the best job for me are the ones that make you go, hey, it's fucking 3 o'clock already, or like, hey, it's 2 o'clock already. That's crazy, right? I hate things where you're looking at the clock. I hate that shit. I fucking hate that shit. And that was Bilo Incarnate. Like, I didn't do that at Osaka, mostly because it was my first job, but also because I always had something to do, right? Even when I didn't have anything to do, I was like thinking about the next thing that I had to do. Like, I was like, okay, when this happens, I'm gonna do this, and when that happens, I'm gonna do this. And everything was reactive and proactive, you know, preparing, doing something, you know, it was, you know, I always had something to do that wasn't just, all right, when a customer comes in, I'm gonna take their order, and then I'm gonna wait for the next customer to come in. So I quit Bilo, it was boring as fuck. And then I was unemployed again for a while. And then, like I had 2 jobs. So let's fast forward. You know, I got my first job when I was like about to turn 16. I got my second job at some point while I was 16 to 17. All right. Now let me lay down the retrospect. I am met with an opportunity. All right. My sister and my brother, at this point, had both lived, they were living together because it worked out for both of them in a apartment complex, and they had both lived there for about, like my brother had lived there for like a year, and my sister had lived there for like 5 years, all right? And it was working out pretty well for both of them, but their roommate had just moved out. But the thing was, my sister was just about to start something. I can't remember what. I can't remember the reason, but she was about to move out of her house for an elongated period of time, and she was the holder of the lease. So her lease would end, so she didn't want to get another roommate because that would basically extend her lease. So basically what they were doing is her and my brother were going to just live in this three bedroom apartment by themselves and just pay the extra money. But instead of that, I said, like, hey, if y'all are already going to do that, can I just rent that room and like give y'all some money? And she was like, okay. And my mom was like, what? And then I did it. And I moved in, and I lived at this place where like the rent would be like something like $400 a month, maybe even $500, I don't know. And I only had to pay $200 a month. It was awesome. And at the first month living there, I didn't have a job. Like, I moved in September, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get a fucking job. This is getting bad. So I did. I got a job at Little Caesars, the pizza place, and then that was pretty dope. I was not on the cash register. I was the backroom guy. So like, I made sheet out pizza. You know, I flattened out dough and put it into pans. Right? I made pizzas. I washed dishes. I was basically what the fuck? I was basically a pizza bitch, right? That was basically my job, was pizza bitch, because you know, they needed a pizza bitch, right? They needed, you know, they'd have 3 people running the store, like a manager to like do manager stuff. They'd have a person at the cash register to like run cash register and make pizzas and stuff, and they'd have a backroom person, which would wash dishes, do what I need, and like help everybody else whenever they needed help. So that's what I did, and it was, oh fuck, oh shit, is it flooded? Yeah, Charleston is a peninsula, and since it's a peninsula, whenever it rains hard or there's an obscenely high tide, it floods. And it's flooding. It's flooded right there. You know, I see why there was a police officer right there. It's flooded for fucking days. I'm gonna turn right here. But yeah, I worked there basically the entire school year. Once I was about to move out of my sister's house, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not working here anymore. I don't want to work here anymore. This job sucks ass, and I don't have to work here anymore. So I was unemployed. And I was unemployed for like, probably like 3 months. And then I got a job at Speedway. And this is when I started smoking weed. I don't smoke weed anymore. I stopped that about 2 years ago. About 1 year ago, about a year and a half ago, I stopped smoking weed. But I started smoking weed and I got a job at Speedway. So like I was making probably like 9 something an hour, but all of it was going to weed. And I was another fucking cashier. It was another reactive job. It sucked ass. I hated it. But I kept working it because I was fucking monotonous. I was a monotonous little bitch that just like, whatever, I'm already working here and I can't quit. But I totally could have quit. I could have quit any day of the week, right? I wasn't a slave to my mom. I wasn't a slave to anybody. I could have just quit and gotten a new job. The Speedway sucked ass. I was standing behind the cash register all day. And if I wasn't doing that, I was doing something else, like washing dishes or like counting donuts or some shit. And it was a very reactive job. It was very reactive. I liked stocking the coolers. Like looking back, I really liked stocking the coolers because that was a proactive activity where it went as fast as you made it go. And no matter how fast you did it, it took like an hour or two. So like you go into the coolers and it'd be freezing, you put on a giant jacket and you do something at your pace, and then by the time you're done, it was like 2 hours later. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. But besides that, that job sucked dick. So I quit there. And then I started working at Little Caesars again for a while, like another 3 months or so. And then I was like, okay, I'm done here. Because I needed the money. I didn't need any fucking money. I don't know. My mom was hassling me to get a job because she didn't like when I'd sit around unemployed. Obviously so. I still live with her. She just doesn't like it when I'm unemployed because she's like, all right, you're fucking over 18. What are you doing? Get a job. If you don't have a job, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And I'm like, that's a good point. So I get a job. But that job sucked dick. I quit the job and I applied to a place online called the Natahalen Outdoor Center. What the hell is going on with the car? What the fuck just happened? When I went into that puddle, my steering wheel slightly locked up. My car started making really weird fucking noises, and like my battery light came on, my tire pressure like all the lights came on. Every light came on. Road closed ahead. Fuck, what the hell is happening? I never really drive down here when it's flooded. Because it's like, why would I go downtown? So like, this is kind of like a first. Weird. Anyways, I applied to a place called the Natahalen Outdoor Center. It's in Bryson City, North Carolina, and I really liked working there. I was a mountain biking tour guide, where I take people on mountain bike tours. I give them bikes, I let them go on the mountain bike tours themselves. It was awesome. But I got fired from that job because I kept bothering HR because I had hurt my knee on the job, but I wasn't technically on the job, so they wouldn't help me. But like, none of the people who worked at HR knew that, except for the person who had been working there for more than like a month. So I kept coming back to talk to that person, but HR got super pissed off at me because I kept coming back. So they fired me, or they found a way to make me leave, because technically by their guidelines they couldn't fire me because I hadn't done anything wrong and I hadn't gone through their strike system. So technically when they were telling me to leave, I could have said no, I'm gonna keep working, and they would have had to been like, okay, fine. But at the time I was like, fuck this shit, fuck you, fuck your face, I'm out. And I was living in a house that was the size of a shack and it had no air conditioning, but it did have power, but it didn't have internet. So I really liked it, but I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm out of here. And I left, and I'm like, I probably should have stayed. And I worked at Jimmy John's for a week in Columbia when I was living with my sister for a month. as a bike delivery guy, and now I'm working at Jimmy John's in Charleston as a car delivery guy. And it's a job. I don't hate it, honestly. Like, I like it a lot more than the Little Caesars job, and I like it a lot more than the Speedway job. And the Bilo job. And I like it better than all my jobs, basically, except for the NOC job and the Jimmy John's job where I was bike delivering. But it still kind of sucks. And I only work weekends, so I'm not making enough money to save up. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, that's all the jobs. That was over a course of shit, is this the one-way road? Yeah, it is. That was all over the course of like 6 years. Yeah. It's more like 5 years and like some change, like a couple months, maybe like 2 or so months. Because like I didn't get a job until like I was about to turn 16. So that's all over the course of like 5.5 years, let's say. Over the course of 5.5 years, I've had a lot of fucking jobs. Like I've had a shit ton of jobs. But I tell you, I hate working long shifts. Like I hate working. Right? I just rather be at home doing what I do at home, which is like watch YouTube videos or play video games. Like I'd rather be doing that 1,000% because I enjoy that to an extent. And when I'm working, I hardly Fuck. This is fine. I'm at work. I missed the turn off. I'm parking in a parallel space. Sounds like some anime shit. Yeah, I'm parking in the parallel space. I'm gonna go now. I gotta go to work. I'm gonna pay the parking meter. Bye.